Hello, sir. I am Cristel Vertusio Pisanon from third year BS Ed English A. And today I will be presenting my book review presentation. And I have chosen this book, The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. And by the way, the author was mentioned by our instructor during our first year college, and we have not tackled the book, but then I got curious, so I have chosen this to make a book presentation. Well, so let's get started. So, The Old Man and the Sea. So, the author, as I mentioned a while ago, is Ernest Miller Hemingway. So, let's get to know first about the author. So, the author was born on July 21, 1988 in Oak Park, Illinois. And he is an American novelist, short story writer, a journalist, and sportsman. He died on July 2, 1961. He killed himself with a shotgun at his home in Ketchum, Idaho, where his father had died by suicide in 1928. So, facts about him is that he once survived 2 plane crashes in 2 days in 1954, and people think that he died, so newspapers reported his death, so he was able to read his own obituary. And he is an expert fisherman in 1938. He set a world record by catching 7 marlins in 1 day. So I guess this book, The Old Man and the Sea, was inspired best by his own life because he was once a fisherman. And take note, he is a great fisherman. So, he received a Pulitzer Prize in 1953 and the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. So, Hemingway served as an ambulance driver in Italy during World War I, and in July 1918, he was badly wounded by mortar fire, but he still helped Italian soldiers reach safety. For this, he was awarded an Italian Silver Medal of Valor. In 1954, Hemingway was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature for his powerful, style-performing mastery of the art of modern narration, as most recently evinced in The Old Man and the Sea. He donated the medal to the people of Cuba. So, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature because of this book, The Old Man and the Sea. And another fun fact about him is that he preferred to write standing up. Imagine how hard that would be. And also, he had a boxing ring built in the backyard of his home in Key West so he could spar with guests. So, let's proceed to the summary of the story. So, the story revolves around the central character, Santiago. He has gone straight 84 days without catching a single fish. Due to this, the people have started seeing him as Salaw, or the worst of unluckiness. He is considered so unlucky that the young boy, Manolin, who was his apprentice, is stopped by his parents to go for fishing with Santiago anymore. However, Manolin has admiration for Santiago and sees him as a mentor. Therefore, Manolin visits Santiago each night at his shop. They talk about American baseball. Manolin prepares food and they just enjoy each other's company. One day, Santiago tells Manolin that the following day, he will go far out of the Gulf Stream to fish. He is confident that the unluckiness that has attached itself to him is going to wash away with this venture. On the start of 85th day of unluckiness, the old man does what he decided to do. He goes far off the Gulf Stream and very optimistically waits for his big catch. At noon, Santiago sees that a big fish, which he identifies as a marlin, has taken his bait. Filled with joy, he tries to pull the marlin, but instead, the marlin pulls the old man with his boat. He tries to tie the cord with the boat, but fails. The marlin keeps on pulling the boat all through the day and night for 2 days. In all this, trying to hold on to the fish, the old man gets badly injured and exhausted. Every time the marlin pulls hard, his hands end up getting more wounded. However, just like the marlin, he did not give up. The old man admires the marlin for its staying true to its nature and struggling for freedom. He feels like the marlin is partner in his pain, suffering, and also in his strength. Finally, on the 3rd day of old man struggling to keep the marlin, the fish tires and gives in. It starts to circle around his skiff. Santiago, with all that he has in him, pulls the fish and manages to kill it with a harpoon. He ties the fish to the side of the skiff, and finally, after days of unimaginable struggle, aims for home. Santiago is happy and proud of himself that he has managed to catch a fish that would have a great price and feed a lot of people. However, he is also concerned that his eaters will be unworthy of it because of its greatness. Just within some time, due to scent of marlin's blood, sharks gather around. They start to tear flesh away from marlin. Santiago manages to drive away a few, but loses his harpoon as a result. Then, as more sharks keep coming, he makes another harpoon by putting his knife into an oar. He kills himself. He kills several sharks and scares many away. However, still filled with hunger, the sharks keep coming and stealing the flesh of the marlin. In the end, they leave nothing but the shell of marlin, which still only consisted of mainly its backbone, head, and tail. Santiago feels defeated at the loss of his precious opponent. He feels like his entire struggle and labor ended in vain and he lost. He tells the sharks too that they have destroyed him and his dreams. He even blames himself for going too far. Santiago reaches the shore, crushed with the labor of past 3 days. With very little that was left in him, he carries his stuffs and struggles towards his shack. He leaves the skeleton of the marlin, which he had very arduously caught, behind. He thinks that it is of no use to him now. Santiago makes it to his shack and just collapses on his bed. He goes into a deep slumber and becomes oblivious to everything. Now, on the shore, where his boat is, fishermen gathered around. They see the skeleton of the marlin attached to it and measure it. It turns out to be 18 feet from nose to tail. The fish appears to be the biggest that the village had ever seen. The fishermen tell Manolin to tell the old man how sorry they are over their rude behavior. Manolin gets teary when he sees the old man alive but injured. The old man tells Manolin that he lost again, but Manolin assures him that everything was fine. He brings him coffee and newspapers. They chat and agree on going fishing together again. Some tourists that same day see the marlin skeleton and mistake it as a shark. Now in the shack, the old man goes back to his sleep and dreams of lions that he had seen in his youth when he was in Africa. Well, literary criticism or the analysis. Well, I chose the reader response approach simply because There is no right or wrong answer in this response, and it is subjective, and the purpose of this is to examine, explain, and defend my personal reaction to the text. Nonetheless, its importance is that it demonstrates an understanding of the reading and clearly explain and support the reader's reaction. Well, the story was about the old fisherman, Santiago, who was considered unlucky because of not getting any fish for several days. In fact, his apprentice Manolin was forced by his parents to part ways with him. He was once a great fisherman and he just can't accept the fact or acknowledge that he is weak because of his age. He still wants to prove that he is not weak as what other fishermen thinks of him. One of the themes I personally identified is first is pride. Santiago knows he must row out beyond all people away from land and into the Gulf Stream, where one last drama would be played out in an empty arena of sea and sky. As the old man was battling with the fish and the sea, out of tiresome, he realizes a lot of things, and one of it that he was fishing out of pride, not of passion anymore. His mind was preoccupied of wanting to prove to anyone that he is still strong and capable of getting a fish something bigger. Second is overcoming challenges of nature, since it was evidently shown in the story how Santiago is determined to overcome the challenges he was facing, from sailing in the sea with a not so cooperative weather, to battling with a big marlin in 3 days, to battling without so much food to eat, to battling alone, and to battling with the sharks on his way home, and he had successfully conquered all of that by himself. Through that, Santiago demonstrates the ability of human spirit to endure hardship and suffering in order to win. And lastly is friendship. Santiago's friendship with Manolin is priceless. It was Manolin who motivates Santiago whenever he's feeling down and helped him in preparing his food and bait. Manolin even wakes up early to help Santiago prepares the things he needs, and Santiago also was a mentor of Manolin, as he is the one lecturing and giving advices to Manolin ever since Manolin was just little. In the middle of Santiago's battle in the sea, he can't think of anyone but Manolin. And also, Manolin, who was at home, can also be relieved knowing that Santiago is away for a few days without hearing news about him. And the fact that they are not even blood related is just so amazing. They treasure a friendship that is worth it, and in the end, they even have each other again and decided to go on sailing together again. So that's all for my book review presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to message me and ask me, because I will be willing to answer your questions. Thank you, and the presentation is presented by yours truly.